Hello, and welcome to the Sunbeam Chronicles, where our goal is to brighten your day by sharing stories of good things happening in the world. Our first story is about breaking down in the middle of nowhere. There was this one time in 1990 before cell phones. I was helping my brother move after college. We were in the middle of nowhere in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. He was driving his little pickup truck, pulling a trailer, and I was driving my crappy little Ford station wagon packed to the gills with his stuff. It was a Sunday. I'm driving along and my car just dies. No warning, nothing. I coast to a stop on the side of a rural highway and wait for my brother to realize I wasn't behind him anymore and turn around. After about 20 minutes, he finds me, the hood up, and neither one of us knows very much about cars. Soon, though, a man from the house we broke down in front of comes out, takes one look at the engine, and says, "Timing belt." We inquire about getting the car towed the 30 miles to the closest large town and realized that it was going to be an expensive repair even if the engine was okay and not ruined. This man, though, he takes one look at the situation, sees two broke college kids in their 20s just trying to get by in life, and he says, "Well, it's Sunday, nothing's going to be open. I tell you what, my next door neighbor is a mechanic. Let's push this car down to my driveway and we'll see what we can do." So that is exactly what we do. His neighbor calls his buddy at the auto parts store, which is closed on a Sunday, who does a favor and gets the parts needed, drives them 30 miles out to the house, and we all sit around telling stories while the car gets fixed. This man's son, a kid of about 9 or 10, is hanging around. He's extremely bored. There were no kids nearby his age, and he's craving any kind of interaction, even with two guys in their 20s. The kid goes, "Want to see my tree house?" and points to the woods out back. My brother and I look at each other, shrug, and say, "Sure." We end up spending 2 hours with this kid, helping him build his treehouse. When we're done, we go back to the house and the car is all fixed. My brother and I have maybe $60 in cash on us combined and try to pay the man who did the work, but he refused. He said, "No, you boys were in need of help and I wanted to help. You don't need to pay me. Plus, you kept my son occupied for several hours, which is truly appreciated." He then says, "I want you to do something for me, though. The next time you see someone in need of help and you have the means, I want you to repay this favor." And that is one of the rules of life I live by, taught to me by a generous man in the middle of nowhere who helped me out when I was in a time of need. At a bit of a loss for words, I can't even imagine how lost and hopeless those kids would have felt breaking down in the middle of nowhere on a Sunday with nowhere to go. And we don't realize it nowadays, but no cell phones. Like, that would be so hard, and what a blessing, it is to have these kind people that they don't even know, never met before, never probably seen since, who are willing to help them out.
I feel like people were kinder before there were cell phones.
I think that was probably true.
Do you remember when we were first married and we were moving halfway across the country in your little car and we had it all packed up with so much stuff and I think blew a tire, broke down?
Blew a tire. Luckily, we had a cell phone, could call our insurance company to get a tow truck to us. But
yes, thank goodness for cell phones. But that was horrible, and I'm grateful that there's kind people that help people in need.
This story is about an act of kindness that's so small that it might go unnoticed by most everyone. I just left my doctor's office with very bad back pain. I was walking slowly and painfully toward my car in the parking lot, prescription drugs in hand, and I got my keys from my pocket and I was going to open the car door and I dropped the keys. I thought, there's no way I can bend to pick those up. This was before cell phones. What am I going to do? Almost immediately, a woman appeared from who knows where, swooped in, picked up my keys and handed them to me and walked away. No words spoken. I was aghast and so grateful I started tearing up right there. I was just so surprised, and it happened so fast, and she just left so quickly, and I couldn't figure out how she could have been close enough to me to notice my keys dropping, but I didn't notice her at all. I was just breathless and so grateful. So many thanks to you, kind stranger. I can remember a time where I was incredibly sore from working out to the point where it felt almost impossible to walk, let alone do other things. And so an act of kindness like that, somebody picking up the keys, very small, very not noticeable by most people, but for her in that situation, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I remember when I was on my way to the ER and I was in so much pain and I couldn't even put my shoes on, and my friend untied them for me and put them on. And I remember laughing because I never untie my shoes. But anyway, it was a very meaningful act of kindness that was very small for her. If you are enjoying these stories and they are brightening your day, please give us a like and leave a comment on how this video has inspired you. And consider subscribing for more. If you would like to share a story with us, please send it to sunbeamchronicles@gmail.com. Now, on to our last story. This next story is my favorite because it reminds me of the power of a home-cooked meal. I told my coworker I just really missed home, and most of all, a home-cooked meal. I was 19 and moved away from home for the first time to a big city for a job opportunity. I'd never been away from my mom before or even been alone for longer than like 2 weeks. I could cook basically nothing, and everything I did was just missing something. So I mostly lived off takeout and microwave meals, which I was starting to get really, really sick of. I just wanted a nice meal made with love and fresh ingredients. Anyway, I told my coworker that, and the next day she came in with 5 home-cooked meals in containers for me to eat for the next week. The day before, she had conjured up a conversation about allergies, which I didn't even think was anything more than a usual conversation until the next day. It made me cry, and she didn't understand why I was so overwhelmed and surprised, because it was just something she did every day, but for her own kids. I don't think I will ever forget it. It was truly just so sweet, and the meals were so good, so comforting. Truly tasted like they were just made by the hands of a loving parent.
As someone who only cooked ramen growing up, this would have been huge. I probably would be in the same boat as this person and probably would have cried myself.
That's awesome. I hope someone would cook for my kids someday when they move away from home and are feeling homesick. All right, that's it for today's stories. We hope you have a renewed hope for humanity and feel inspired to share your own light with those around you. Don't forget to like and subscribe and let us know in the comments when you do, and we will do our best to respond. Again, if you have any stories you'd like to share, please send them to sunbeamchronicles@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you so we can spread the light and encourage others to be the good. Have an amazing day.